Here I am with Keith Argyle, and we're going to be looking a bit about when he writes a story. There's two ways he can do it. He can either write the story on his own, or he can do it with a co-writer. So they're two different tacks, so we're going to look at the differences. So, thinking about when you work on your own stories, although it's entirely your own plot, do you get anybody to help you with editing and reviewing and things like that?
Yeah, well, it's very useful to be able to have someone, when you've finished a book, to help you edit it, help you review it. I usually give it to 3 or 4 people to read when it's complete, to give me feedback, pick up any mistakes, grammatical errors, suggestions that might make it flow better in different parts. But yes, it's not just yourself. There are more people involved, and it has to be set out in a certain way so you can send it to a publisher or agency, because they are very particular how they like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
With co-writing, thinking of Paul Whitaker that you did the Denbar Mysteries with, you've written in the same room, as it were, whereas, say, with Paul White, geographically you're quite a far distance away. So how do you handle with the co-writing side of things?
Yeah, well, we are blessed these days with something called Skype. Paul and I use Skype quite a lot. If we have any ideas, I want to discuss something, then we'll talk for probably best part of an hour, even more at times, and we'll discuss the ideas and the plot. And then he takes the ideas and he actually does the writing side of it. We work together, so I do the promotion, pushing things out there, giving out the word that certain things are happening, that books have been prepared. I sort of see to uploading them onto Amazon Kindle, create space, and anywhere I can promote it I will, and that's sort of set my side of the job. We discuss the plot and the planning, because we both think that planning is a very important part of any story, and we create the ideas, the outline, the flow chart, and then we take that and we work from it, expanding it, and eventually through Paul's writing side he creates a story in writing and completes that. Then we read it, edit it, and as we're going along, as Paul writes a chapter or two, he'll send it to me, I read it, look at it, give my thoughts, send it back to him, and it will carry on. And it
evolves like that.
And it evolves, yes.
Yes, that was one of the questions I was going to ask about, how you get, when you have more than one person writing something, how you get a unified voice. But it does sound like you both have the input, and then it's a single person shaping it.
That's
so
right.
It's got a, yes.
Now, both of us don't write. You know, now when I work with the other two, then I did quite a lot of the writing. The Alexandrian Passport novel I wrote with Stuart, he did quite a lot of the writing, and I went through it and edited it, and he read it, and eventually came up with a finished product.
And obviously, working together, you both know the story, but you kind of each of us check.
Oh yes.
Which is a good thing. But do you still go for that like third pair of eyes where they're detached from the story, so it's a fresh look?
Of course, yes. So we have several people that read through our work. There's probably, I would say, 3, maybe 4 people who automatically expect to read it when we've finished it. They read it, give us the feedback, point out any errors we might have made, missed something out, got something back to front. It's so easy to make errors when you're writing, you're rattling away on the keyboard. It's very easy to make mistakes, and you don't always see them. So it's good that other people do read them and come back to you with their thoughts.
Thinking that you've done both ways, working on your own and working with somebody else, is there a benefit over one or the other, or do you think both work quite well equally?
They both work quite well. When I write on my own, I write in the genre that I enjoy the most at the time. Whereas I'm working with Paul White, Stuart, or Paul Whitaker, then we both combine our ideas. When I work with myself, then I do my own research, my own notes, my own flowchart, and then I take that and expand it and put it onto the computer and get it written up. And I try to average about 2,000 words a day, which is a discipline that you have to set yourself if you want to succeed.
Now, thinking of anybody listening to this that might be considering working with somebody else, have you got any tips of how it could work well? Are there any downsides? As in, what would happen if you kind of meet at loggerheads over an idea? How do you thrash that out? And
well, I'm not going to say you don't have differences of opinion, but because you do. Paul White and I, on several occasions, I've come up with a few ideas. He said, no, that's not going to work. And I said, well, it can. And I said, no, it won't. So we laugh at each other about it, really. And we'll sort of look at it from different directions, iron it out, and come up with a solution that suits us both. You know, so we do debate quite a lot of different
a bit of compromise
aspects.
sometimes.
That's right, yeah. We come to a compromise and say, yeah, okay, Paul, we'll go with that. And he'll go away then and write it up. Now, with Paul Whittaker, who I've written the murder story with, the Dunbar Mysteries, I am the writer in that situation. And Paul, I must admit, is pretty sharp. And he came up, I would say, probably 80% of the ideas for the Dunbar Mysteries, Envious Eyes. He's quite sharp. But Stuart, he came up with the idea to begin with and asked me to help him write it. And finished up writing it together. But The Alexandrian Passport is not for the faint-hearted. It's a terrific story.
When it comes to writing with somebody, especially if they're not locally close, geographically close, how do you go about keeping it moving along and making sure that you're both putting into it?
Well, we, particularly with Paul White, living down in Peterborough, we use the Skype quite heavily. He gets up to come up here occasionally when we've got something really important to discuss. Sadly, he can't be here today, but he was hoping to be, but it's not possible. But we work together well because we'll discuss it over Skype, we'll break each part down, look at it, take it to pieces, put it back together and again and make sure it works. But it's easy if you organise it. That's the key word, organisation.
Excellent. Okay then, that's all about working together versus lone working.